feel from one problematic ass Negro to another. And let's talk about Chris Brown. So Chris Brown is upset because a bunch of people done came out because y'all already know he about to go on tour with Usher, which who saw that coming when I first saw that tea being spilled. When wasn't it once upon a time that Usher had, I mean, well, Usher got jumped by some people in Chris's camp. Well, apparently they made it work. They figured out, I guess, because even though I will say this, yeah, Chris Brown has been known for being problematic, whatever the case was, but it goes to show, because I would have said if he didn't do that stadium tour last season and that whole situation when it happened, I would have been like, well, he needed because the stadium tour would give him some relevancy. But the boy went and sold out a whole stadium tour on his own. So he don't necessarily need Usher. But the fact of that these two are going on tour together, I feel like that ignites something within the girlies that they're gonna. This is something they want to see because people have been wanting a versus between these two since long before speech replaced sign language. But now that we have this whole situation coming, this is going to be a big deal. But of course, with this tour came a lot of people who had some criticisms. And instead of Chris Brown just going about his merry way, not even addressing this mess and just focusing on putting this tour together. Chris, of course, had to get his misogynistic ass on social media and start verbally bashing women who have a problem with this tour even happening. So on Sunday, April 26th, the controversial performer spoke out amid backlash over his upcoming tour with Usher. Now, while the singer has no shortage of fans who don't care about his indiscretions, clearly, because he's be selling out these tours regardless, and y'all do be listening to him when he put out them 40-track albums. I can't even get past 13 because I'm like, that's just too much music, in my opinion. Anybody who releases a 40 track, like if Madonna was to release a 40-track album, I'm like, girl, like, I can't. It's gonna take me days to get through this record. But because it's a little overkill. That's how I felt about Rebel Heart. But anyway, let's get back into this. While the singer has no shortage of fans who don't care about his indiscretions, critics aren't happy with those supporting Brown due to his long history of abuse and other arrests. And he's already going through a court case where I think about the housekeeper is taking him to court and he doesn't want the whole Rihanna beatation to be brought up in the case. And the housekeeper is trying to prevent him from getting that blocked like she wants it brought up. I don't know why, but that is part of the whole. That's the latest that's going on. If you haven't been paying attention to the latest on Chris Brown and his usual shenanigans, so he said the funniest and the weirdest ish ever to me is the fact that people have the option to come to my tour and the option not to. This is what he began in a lengthy Instagram story. I know everyone who is a fan of me and Usher will definitely be in the building. That's if they can get tickets because I hear that the tickets is ridiculously expensive. And the scalpers already got a hold of them. So, y'all gonna have to sell a kidney in order to get to go to this concert. But anyway, he wanted to say, and we'll definitely be in the building and it will be packed just like last year. But I'm scrolling through Insta and TikTok and I come across rage bait pages and all these fake woke stand up for nothing pages. Oh, now as a high yalla Negro, you up in here using woke in the wrong connotation? Okay, sis. Um, they just bashing people for wanting to come have a good time. The dudes hating, I can understand that, thinking we gonna steal your girl and ish. Well, Usher better not be out here stealing nobody girl because he's supposed to be married. Then again, we did talk about the fact that a lot of you athletes and musicians like to slip your dick in anything that got a hole in it. So he's saying the dudes hate not gonna understand that because they thinking we're gonna steal their girl and ish. But the Karens and the self-hating hoes be making me laugh. I can't wait to rub this ish in y'all face. Well, what I don't understand is why you even had to bring this up and even had to go there. Like you could have just left this well alone. You could have just went about your merry way, and you could have just put this tour together. The minute it tours, y'all out there selling out 40,000 a night at the stadium. How many dates y'all going to do? And when the tally comes in, once the tour wraps, then you could have went about and did your big one and gloat all over social media. But doing this before then, it just shows a bit of arrogance. It just shows that you're proving these people that are criticizing you right. And he's absolutely right. You have a choice. We all have a choice in life. That's the one thing I like about The Matrix. They talk about choice and also two movies that Keanu Reeves was in. The Matrix and John Wick. Where the Matrix was always about cause and effect, every action is a reaction, and then when you're in the John Wick, it's always about consequences. The decision you make has consequence. There's always consequence to the decision you make. So, and I think that's a Virgo thing. That's probably why we get into that whole emotional whatever. But and people, of course, they decide to eat his ass up on social media. So let's get into some of the clapbacks. Hold on, because I went and I pressed the wrong button. So one person said, oh wait, what are they going to say? So then it went on to say, Chris Brown, as y'all know, had multiple run-ins. But it was about the Rihanna Beat Asian stuff, the Karuchi Tran stuff, when she was granted a 5-year restraining order against him in 2017. Then he had the most recent arrest was last year in May 2025. At the time, the singer was taken into custody in Manchester, England, for allegedly hitting music producer Abe Dial with a tequila bottle. So now you the brat hitting people with bottles and shit. Except she went to jail. The arrest was extra sweet for certain critics of the singer, as it came just a few hours after he posted a message of support, of course, for Tory Lanez, who is currently serving 10 years in prison for Pow Pow and Megan Thee Stallion. Now, months later, the producer, Dior, requested that the case be dismissed with prejudice. I was trying to say it like Chichi Rodriguez in Tu Wong Fu, meaning he can't change his mind about the decision later. Most cases dismiss. Well, I'm thinking that because the whole um dismiss with prejudice thing happened because Chris Brown and him reached a settlement. He paid him to make this go away, which we all know Chris ain't short on the coins. So he bought his way out of the situation. And apparently, the producer, who I guess, I mean, I couldn't name one thing this man produced. Pay me for my pain. So I'm assuming that's what that is. But anyway, let's get into some of these reactions to what people were saying about Chris. One said Chris Brown via IG story, the funniest with his ish. Oh, so we don't need to read that. The one person said booty, not booty chain. That's what you're going by says. Okay, I'll just be like one person said, one person said. Because I got time to read y'all stupid little Twitter handles. But anyway, one girl said, yes, I hate myself because I don't enable an active abuser like the rest of his bird bitch fans. Jesus. That's her words, not mine. Although I kind of agree. But anyway, so another person said, Chris Brown hating on women because they don't want to go see an abuser and a Diddy defender on stage. Well, yeah, because we ain't forget about Usher, how you was up in there tap dancing for Diddy. And I remember and said, well, we can't just say that he was an amazing artist. We can't forget that he was amazing and all the things that he did for the community and stuff. Yeah, two things can exist at the same time, dumbass. That you can applaud somebody for the creativity and the things that they've done, but you can also call them out on being a problematic ass person. That's the same thing. Like, so a mogul who mentored you was caught out here molesting children. Are we supposed to just forget that he was out here fingering little boys in the ass? I'm just saying it's in general because he was an amazing producer and a genius. I mean, what is the mindset of some of you people? And there's a lot of you Gen Xers that think this way, which is what Usher is. Another person said, damn, he's stupid. And when another person say a woman who don't support women beaters are self-hating, how does that add up? Well, clearly Chris Brown is talented, but he ain't that bright. Another person said the concept of being self-hating hoes for not supporting an abuser and abuser defender. Another person said, imagine being a grown-ass man preparing for a tour nobody wants to see. Well, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of people that want to see that tour. And the only thing you can think to do is argue with women on Instagram. This is why I said, Chris, you should have just let this go. And like I said, everybody has a right to support who they want to support. If you want to go and see Chris Brown in concert, even though y'all know he problematic, and you know the way some of y'all think is, well, he ain't do that to me, so it's not going to affect me in no way. And that's how people think. As long as it don't affect them, they don't give a shit. Hence why we had that situation with problematic ass Jocelyn Hernandez, where she all of a sudden, when you was over there on the Zeus network, you ain't had no problem with Lemmy doing allegedly the things you said he was doing to them birds over there on that show who wanted a moment on TV and a little coin because nobody wants to go out and get a regular damn job. But then again, in this current regime, jobs ain't being built. So you got to do what you got to do in order to pay them damn bills. So they thinking they got to go on a show like this, a channel like the Zeus network and start fighting each other and pulling people wigs and shit off in order to have some type of 15 minutes and to get a little financial compensation. But then when all of a sudden you couldn't go off and do your own thing. Now you want us to feel sorry for you. It's the same thing over here on this side of the situation with Chris. Is the fact that people can go support and listen to whoever it is that they want to listen to. But you also got to realize that people are going to have their opinions about you regardless. It's like, yeah, people still see you as that boy that beat up on Rihanna or whatever the case is. And yes, Rihanna moved on. She got 3 kids with ASAP Rocky. She living her best life. She's a billionaire. She ain't letting all this stuff bother her. And she and Chris have come to some sort of understanding. We get that. But I think what the issue is, if it was a one and done situation with Chris Brown, people I don't think will be going as hard on him as they are now. I think what it is that because he's repeatedly done things where physical violence is the only answer that he can come to a conclusion to, especially when you should know that, you know, anything you do, there's always going to be somebody here that's going to try to get financial compensation because you're a rich person, you're a rich celebrity, you're a high profile celebrity. So instead of you learning your lesson, you thinking you rather be out here instead of being the next Usher, you want to be the next Bobby Brown and be all problematic. And I'm talking about Bobby Brown back in the day because Bobby Brown has changed in his old age. But back in the day, Bobby Brown was a nuisance, and he was the bad boy of R&B, not the king of R&B, which Whitney coined him as, but he was the bad boy of R&B. So you like that bad boy persona because of the attention it gives you, and it makes you look cool in the eyes of, you know, the industry, and you know how the double standard is when it comes to men versus women and how they're treated in this industry based off of how they carry themselves. So I definitely want to hear from y'all in regards to this whole situation. So, whatever your thoughts are on this Chris Brown matter, do you agree with him on what he had to say, or do you think yeah you should have just left this alone? I don't know why you had to go speak on it and bring attention to this thing because yeah, people are criticizing you. It just goes to show that you got some fit as you. It just shows that you got thin skin, basically. That you're sensitive and you can't take criticisms, and you've been in this industry long enough that you should know that water off a duck's back. Don't let it bother you. But the leopard will never change the spots, and Chris Brown has shown that time and time again. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.